At first light, the house looks ordinary. A narrow porch, a sagging roof, lace curtains trembling on the wind. But as the town tells it, ordinary ends when the clock hands round midnight. The house wakes. It is not a ghost story of rattling chains or banshee wails. It is a subtler thing, a psychological awakening that unsettles the mind rather than merely the senses. To understand this haunting, we must step back from carved faces and moonlit silhouettes. The house is a vessel of memory, a structure built not only of wood and nail, but of repetition, grief, and the habits of those who lived within. Over decades, it collected small violences. Doors closed too loudly, dinners eaten in silence, promises never kept. Each incident left an impress on the house, like grooves in a record. At midnight, when the town sleeps and the world of habits and narrows to breath and heartbeat, those grooves begin to turn. The awakening is patient. It begins with the small misalignments that any attentive person notices. Pictures tipped a fraction of an inch, the kitchen clock slow by a minute, the scent of cologne that belonged to a man who left 10 years prior. These are not shocks. They are details that suggest someone has been moving through the house in the hours when nobody should be awake. But the details accumulate. A drawer that was closed opens by itself. A chair is pulled back as if someone has risen. The pattern shifts from coincidence to suggestion. Here is where the mind does its work. In daylight, we dismiss anomalies. The cat knocked the vase. Humidity warped the frame. At midnight, the same explanations sound thin. The mind, primed by small discrepancies, begins to search for meaning. Humans are pattern machines. We would rather invent a ghost than tolerate randomness. The house, with its layered past, supplies narratives like an echo chamber. A creak becomes a footstep, a draft becomes a whisper, memories become evidence. The house is not causing all that is perceived. It is amplifying what the occupier already carries inside. Psychological hauntings often have a focal point, a person who is sensitive to the house's history or someone who has unresolved guilt. Consider the woman who returned to her childhood home after burying a parent. At night, she woke convinced she heard her mother moving about, calling her name. Friends argued it was grief. She argued back that the house had changed its rhythm floorboards, shifting beneath her feet, light bulbs blowing at precise moments when she needed reassurance. Whether the sounds were external or conjured, their effect was the same. They reopened old wounds, and each reopening rewired her nights into a territory of fear. The architecture of sleep plays its part. Midnight sits at a border between wakefulness and dream. The brain's filtering of sensory input is relaxed. This is when expectation and suggestion slip through. Memory fragments, unresolved emotion, and ambient noise mingle. The house supplies cues, temperature differentials, familiar creaks, and the brain furnishes story. The result is a lived experience of haunting, deeply real to the inhabitant, even if external investigators find nothing conclusive. What distinguishes a psychological haunting from a merely imagined one is its persistence and its power to shape behavior. People start avoiding rooms, sleeping with lights on, or leaving the house altogether. Relationships fray as one partner insists on ghosts, while the other seeks rational explanations. In some cases, a community begins to speak of the house as if it were a living presence, and language itself animates the building. Names matter. Calling it haunted summons attention and fosters shared belief. There is a final twist worth considering. The house is not only a projector of memory, it is also a mirror. The experiences it catalyzes force occupants to confront what they have kept locked away, their regrets, their failures, their grief. In that sense, the house that wakes at midnight performs a brutal kindness. It compels the living to attend to what they have neglected. Some leave, some renovate, some sit with the sounds until their fear dissolves into understanding. When daylight returns and shutters open, the house settles back into quiet. The grooves on its record continue to turn, waiting for the next midnight. The haunting, if we can call it that, is less about spirits on the loose than about the fragile architecture of the human mind. It reminds us that silence can be loud, memory can be active, and the places we inhabit sometimes wake us more than we wake them.